Shema Israel. Hope you enjoy this next study. My name's Dee. This is my wife, Millie.
So if you like what you see, subscribe and hit the notification bell. And if you wish to reach out to us, you can email us at devotedtoyah@gmail.com.
Carlos, go ahead.
So, if you can please correct me then, because yeah, I mean, I totally understand that when like the way I see it is, as being a student, uh, I don't see when it's mentioned the word servant has anything to do as far as the similarity between the word servant, worldly versus servant in the Bible, because I see that the Messiah is the teacher, and we are students that needs deliverance, meaning needs to be cleansed mentally and spiritually from the world, and he is teaching us so we can go ahead and serve the world, the word is the way I take that word servant. It's not that he's that the Messiah expected them to serve him as far as unrighteousness. It's just more about just I'm going to teach you the word so that you can go ahead and do the same. You can serve the Most High in healing the world and bringing everyone together. So I see you as a teacher, and you are giving us the tools and knowledge to go ahead and pretty much help everyone else in the world who is lost. So we are your servant as far as you are our teacher in those ways.
Absolutely.
That's kind of my theory of seeing it.
Absolutely. I'll show a cross reference to support this. Let me show a scripture to support what you're saying.
Let's not also forget that Yahusha was a servant too.
1 Corinthians chapter 4, right? Yahusha was actually a servant of Yahuwah, right? He was a servant of God. He's doing what the Father's telling him to do. And then he has his own disciples, and he's telling his disciples to do what he's doing, because what he's doing is coming from the Father. And now the disciples go out and make disciples, and they're telling their disciples to do what they're doing.
But also he served the people by healing them.
Yes. Yes, but he also served Yahuwah by obeying what he told him to do.
Agreed. Yep.
When Yahuwah told Yahusha to go here, Yahusha went there. Yep. When he told him to speak over here, he spoke over here. When he told him to be quiet and don't tell anybody that you healed this guy, he was quiet and didn't tell anybody. There's a time to speak, there's a time to be quiet, there's a time to and you got to go under somebody's direction on that. But everybody wants to skip, right? Like if you make a chart right now, you have Yahuwah, the first line. Go if you go right to left. Yahuwah, Yahusha, disciples or apostles, other disciples and apostles, other disciples and apostles, there's people over here that want to skip everything in the middle, and they just want to obey Yahusha and Yahuwah, and they skip everything else. Everybody else that has been passed on, the baton has been passed on to all these people, have earned their stripes. And there's people over here in the year 2020, 2021, there's people nowadays that they don't want to embrace the men that have earned their stripes, that have earned their rewards as being servants of Yahuwah and being discipled and being under somebody. People want to skip all that, and they just want to say, oh, I just follow God. I don't need to follow some man.
They want to skip scriptural 101.
Yeah. But anyway, this scripture right here says, let a man so consider us. This is Paul speaking. Let a man so consider us as servants of Messiah and stewards of the mysteries of God. So yes, Paul and the apostles were students, but they were also servants. And this passage makes it sound like the one that we were reading. it makes it sound like it's making a difference between what verse was that, babe? In Matthew?
There's a chain
Right
of
here, a
command.
disciple, 24. A disciple's not above his teacher, nor a servant his master. So there's people that say, oh yeah, I'm a disciple, not a servant. Like, hold on. I mean, like, Yahusha's bringing these two different examples together for a reason. There's a relationship. They're not exactly equal to one another, but they're similar. Like a servant would be definitely during those times is literally, he's talking about somebody that works for somebody. He's not talking about a slave as in the Atlantic slave trade, because that's not what he was talking about there. Servants, according to the Bible, weren't under, according to the Torah, right? Masters were supposed to treat their servants good and righteously. Okay, so it wasn't the same type of servitude that you see in Egypt when Israel became slaves and under cruel servitude. It's not that type of. Yahusha would not promote that. Okay, so when Yahusha is bringing up this example right here of servitude, he's talking about people who just have a master, a boss. Basically, you have somebody who owns a business, and you're working under them, and you should want to be like your boss. Your boss knows everything about the trade, everything. He's been there, done that. He's tilled the land. He's fished. He's built this. He's a mason, or he's a carpenter, whatever the case may be. Now you're working for him. Don't you think that he knows everything? So you should want to learn from your boss. Brother Carlos has his own landscaping business. If I was to work for Carlos, it doesn't matter that I'm his spiritual leader. I'm his servant, because now I'm working for him, somebody who has built this business. I'm new to his business. I'm working for him. He's my master now. I'm his servant. We don't like that language in America. We use, employer, employee, but this is biblical language. There's nothing wrong. I'm not ashamed to call Carlos my master if I was to work under him. I don't have a problem with it because it's biblical. But when we come to Shabbat now, I am the teacher. He is the student, And that's just the way it works. There should be no jealousy. There should be nothing to be fighting about and things like that. But this is what I'm trying to shatter. I'm trying to break this in our assembly, our little tiny little group here. People that come here, I'm trying to apply this discipleship protocol here. So yes, like my wife was bringing us, I'm gonna just bring it all back to why we're here. We're here in Acts chapter 12, verses 1 to 4. And we're basically talking about that Yahusha suffered persecution. And we as his disciples, if he suffered persecution, why wouldn't we? And so if we want to really be like our master, we should be having in our mind to count the costs and expect that we might also suffer for Messiah's sake. Carlos, what you got, brother?
Yeah, so it's like the verse reads on 25 in Matthew 10. It's just like as you were saying. It's not about one being better than another. It's just like you go to college and you have to start, in order to get that degree, you have to start getting your prerequisites. You have to start learning from the bottom and learning the tools, understanding it, mastering it, and then of course we know we are not going to be like Messiah, but he is putting us there to become his, as his boss, to be a straight force, a hard force, so that you can be able to fulfill as far as teaching everyone who comes now below you, and get them to the same level.
And in the union, it doesn't matter what your background is. You start at the bottom. If you've been working non-union and you were insulator non-union, that's great that you got more experience than a lot of other people. But it's not until your boss or your foreman or the actual union decides to move you up in ranking, it's up to them to move you up in ranking. You don't start off up in ranking. We have people that were non-union that we just started bringing them in. They're called improvers. So they don't have the same benefits as us and things like that, but it's kind of a fast track system to get them unionized. So they do, they get the safety, they get the better pay and things like that. And there are times where these guys are like, they're working on the site and they're working for a boss, and it's like, yo, this guy's really good. I'm gonna make him run. I'm gonna make him over. I'm gonna give him a pay raise, because the bosses are allowed to do that, even though they're like in the union. Um, every year in the union, you're at a certain pay rate, but bosses are allowed to give you a raise and let you get more money than that pay rate. It's just on paper, it has to say that this is your pay rate, but the bosses give you extra money. That's on them. They're allowed to do that. So it's up to the bosses to be able to recognize the talent and to fast track them and say, you know what? I'm gonna make you a foreman. We got another construction site starting. I want you to run that site. Even though you just came into the union, like you got a lot of experience and we want you to run it, type of thing, but that's the same thing here. Like if somebody was to come into this fellowship who has a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom, seasoned in the scriptures, give me some time as the leader to recognize that and to see it. Like, okay, this guy's actually very spot on, very good. I like what I'm hearing. And guess what? I'm going to move this guy up and I'm going to say, yo, I need your help. Maybe I might want you to lead some teachings, let me sit back a little bit. And then eventually we could start, having different groups and splitting up and growing, stuff like that. Anyways, Discipleship 101. That was a good passage regarding discipleship. Let's stop there.